Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's one's going to be a quick one going over the cold front submachine gun. This gun has been growing in popularity recently, so I decided to make a guide going over the godroll, and I'm going to be touching up on both controller and keyboard and mouse, so whether you play on either of the two, this video should be informative to you. So yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, this is a limited time event weapon, meaning you can only get this from the dawning event, which we are currently almost 2/3 of the way through. So if you're looking to get your hands on one of these weapons, I would highly recommend jumping in and start grinding out those packages ASAP, because you only have a little over a week left after the making of this video to actually earn one of these weapons. And if you need help baking cookies, I have some videos on the channel going over all of the cookie recipes as well as the fastest dawning essence farm in the game. So I recommend giving those videos a check if you need help with that. So now moving on, we'll get into the details of the weapon here. So as you can see, I'm on D2 Gunsmith website, and I definitely recommend giving this site a check if you need to figure out anything about any weapon in Destiny 2. It has a really clean layout, and it shows you all the possible perk combinations, and even shows you a little picture with all the stats right here on the main front page, which allows you to see exactly what you'll be getting with the weapon to get a rough idea of what it may look like and how it will perform in game. So as you can see, we have the cold front brought up here, and we'll start off with the masterwork here on the left hand side. If you're on controller, I would recommend stability. The reason for that is because it's an aggressive frame, which means it's high damage, high recoil, and it also has a very low amount of natural stability on it. So getting some extra stability through the masterwork for controller players is going to feel really nice. It allows you to land your shots more consistently, and it's just going to make for a smoother experience. If you're on keyboard and mouse, I'd probably recommend range, just due to the nature of how easy it is to hit and land your shots and easy to control weapons on keyboard and mouse. You could probably just get away with the range here. If you don't get either of the two, handling would obviously be the next best option. And personally, in my opinion, if you're going for the godroll and you get a reload speed masterwork, I would personally just delete the weapon. The reason for that is because I don't think having a masterwork getting eaten up by a reload speed is worth having. So again, to recap, I would recommend stability for controller players. You could just straight up go range for keyboard and mouse. If you get handling, it's not the end of the world, it's still viable. And if you get reload speed, I would personally just chalk it. Moving on to the mods, this is totally optional, you can use whatever you want here. Personally, I love Icarscript though, giving me that improved accuracy while airborne. However, I recommend avoiding backup mag because it only gives it 3 bullets and the ammo capacity is totally useless. But again, this slot is totally up to you, you can choose whatever you want. I just really like the feeling of Icarscript on it. Alright, so now moving on to the perks, we'll start off with the barrels first. So personally, I like Arrowhead Break the most. It's actually going to give it the best recoil, direction, and control compared to any other barrel in the game, making the weapon feel extremely easy to fire. If you don't get that barrel, you could try out Fluted Barrel. This is going to give it the most handling out of any barrel in the game, as well as a little bit of stability. Either one of these barrels are going to feel really solid on controller. However, if you play keyboard and mouse, I would recommend going small bore. You're going to get the best of both worlds here, some stability and range. It's going to feel really good. If you really don't need that extra stability, you'd probably just want to go hammer forged rifling here. This is going to make it feel really good at some extra range here. But personally, I think you want to sneak in some stability somewhere. So I would recommend small bore as the best in-slot barrel here. However, don't sleep on Arrowhead Break. This is going to feel really good, especially for controller players. But in my opinion, if you can learn to control the weapon better, small bore is going to feel really good here. Next up, in the mag slot, accurized rounds here at the top, this is actually going to take the cake. The reason for that is because we're trying to sneak in some range somewhere on this weapon, and the magazine slot is actually the best place to do it. They did take away drop mag, so it can't roll with that anymore. You want to avoid appended mag, tactical mag, and extended mag because these give the weapon very little extra ammo, so you don't really want to mess around with these. Steady rounds is only something you want to try out if you're really hurting with stability, and that's pretty much going to be a controller only problem, so only use steady rounds if you're really hurting for stability. Alloy mag, you're just not going to want to use this because most people have the tendency to reload the weapon before it's completely out of ammo. And flared magwell could be viable. If you don't manage to get accurized rounds, I would probably take flared magwell as my second option here because it's giving some extra stability in the reload speed, which it doesn't really need, but personally, I think that would be the next best option here to accurized rounds, but you definitely want to try to get accurized rounds here for some extra range. In the next column, they took away Zen Moment, Underdog, Pulse Monitor, Feeding Frenzy, and Auto-Loading Holster. Obviously, Feeding Frenzy being the fan favorite, but it can no longer roll with it, which leaves Surplus, Quick Draw, Under Pressure, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Subsistence, and Perpetual Motion. So the ones to eliminate, in my opinion, are going to be Quick Draw, Under Pressure, and dynamic sway reduction. Quick draw, you can just run some dexterity mods, and it also has really good natural handling on it. I don't think you need this. Under pressure, just really not beneficial, and it's also a little inconsistent, only working on the end of your magazine. I would just pass on this as well. Dynamic sway reduction is also really only needed if you really need some extra accuracy and stability, which definitely are beneficial to this weapon. However, I just don't think they compete with something like surplus or perpetual motion. And lastly, if you're trying to run and gun and not reload as much as possible, subsistence could be viable here. It'd basically be more of a PvE thing in my opinion. If you're just trying to chain trash head kills and not reload as much as possible, subsistence definitely has its place. But tied for first would definitely be surplus and perpetual motion. And the only reason surplus isn't the most favored here in my opinion is because as soon as you use an ability, you really alter the numbers and is going to alter the way the gun feels in your hands, and I don't like that inconsistency. However, if you do manage to hold yourself back from using your abilities with surplus, it is hands down going to be the best in-slot perk here. As you can see here, with 3 abilities up, you're getting 50 reload, 50 handling, and 25 stability, making it the best perk right here. However, in a game like Destiny 2, you really don't want to be inhibited from using your abilities. So personally, I'm going to take this away because you want to use your abilities, and therefore you're going to be messing with your handling and stability, making the gun feel weird because it's going to be inconsistent. So then I would personally just go perpetual motion. A lot of people sleep on this perk, so it says this weapon gains bonus stability, handling, and reload speed while the wielder is in motion. So basically all you have to do is be moving, and it can stack up to 2 times, and with 2 stacks you're getting 10 stability, 20 handling, and 20 reload speed. That's really, really good. Definitely try out perpetual motion. In my opinion, it takes the cake. It's consistent, easy to do, works well in PvE and PvP, and feels really good with this weapon. And lastly, in the last column, they took away Osmosis, Kill Clip, Vorpal Weapon, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Rangefinder, and Unrelenting, leaving Rampage, Surrounded, Swashbuckler, Thresh, One for All, and Harmony. So the ones to eliminate, in my opinion, are definitely going to be Surrounded. I don't like the way this perk works, and it's just kind of annoying. Swashbuckler is basically just a knockoff Rampage. The only benefit is that you get melee kills to help get your stacks. However, you have to get 5 stacks to get like the same amount of damage that Rampage can do, and I think that's just a little too tedious and annoying to do, so Swashbuckler is going to get kicked aside here as well. Thresh is not viable because we're trying to find something to help increase our damage here. Ideally, that's what you want to do in the second column. You want to try to boost your damage somehow, and Thresh is only giving you a little bit of super energy back, which could be viable in some situations. However, personally, I want to take something here that's going to increase our damage, so Thresh is also going to get kicked out. And lastly, down here, Harmony, it's just not good enough. Only a 20% damage buff. It is giving you some handling, but we really don't need that, so Harmony's also going to get kicked out as well, which is going to leave Rampage and One for All last. So personally, Rampage is actually going to take the cake here for me, and the reason for that is because it's simple, straightforward to use. You can ramp with it, and while you're ramping, you're benefiting from it. Whereas One for All, it's annoying. You have to get 3 hits on 3 different targets, and then you have a limited duration buff, and I just don't like the way that works. It's annoying. You have to kind of go out of your way to do it. It doesn't feel smooth and consistent. It doesn't ramp. You're not benefiting from stacks with it. So for my personal opinion, it would take the second best in slot here, just due to the simple fact that it's the second best damage buff you can get. Technically, it is slightly more than Rampage, but I feel like you can just keep Rampage up more of the time, which is going to basically mean more DPS. So I would take Rampage over One for All personally there, in my opinion. Overall, we are using this on a kinetic SMG. You know, we're not pumping out huge amounts of damage here. To be able to keep running around, chaining, ramping all the time, Rampage is just probably going to be a smoother experience than One for All with this weapon, especially with a limited magazine here. So yeah, that is going to be my overall god roll here. I would recommend small bore, accurized rounds, perpetual motion, and Rampage, along with an Icarus script mod, and then depending on what you play with, stability for controller or straight up range for keyboard and mouse. However, unlike I said earlier in the video, you could try range on controller. It's not going to feel horrible. Just keep in mind, it's not going to feel as great as having stability. You know, you do want to get some stability here with this weapon somewhere and make it feel somewhat viable to control. For anybody who doesn't know, the curated role is actually hammer-forged rifling, flared magwell, zen moment, and osmosis. So the Curated roll is actually 2 perks you actually can't obtain on the weapon via random drops anymore, right? So it's only the curated roll that can get those 2. However, osmosis is kind of trash in my opinion, so I would not worry about getting the curated roll. So yeah, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video informational or helpful, and I'll probably be making one for the fusion rifle and LMG soon. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, peace out. Have a good one.